So good morning and welcome to the Connected World 2013 on the last day following the Connected World Awards last night, which was a fantastic evening. And I have with me one of the winners this morning, Elemental Technologies for Best Delivery Service. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Keith, you're the VP of Marketing for Elemental. You must be very proud of this award.
Yeah, we're really thrilled. It's been a great year for us, and so to have it recognized by such a great award is a really nice thing for us. Our whole team is really excited about it,
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw
We were taking pictures this morning with it, so.
And also you have it up on your LinkedIn and your whole social media thing. I commented on that for you actually,
Okay,
but
yeah.
it's great to see it all actually working in terms of real awareness on a whole integrated multi-platform level. But if we go back to a second, what it is that you're delivering, effectively, I think the reason you won one of these awards, which there was a lot of competition for this, so genuinely congratulations. But being able to provide a service that is enabling broadcasters to really meet the connected consumer experience demands of today from a delivery perspective, working with broadcasters is not as easy as sometimes I think. It's very easy to come to these shows and say, yeah, we've got all this great technology and all this great kit, but really making that happen in a seamless, totally immersive, really well-defined way, which is also looking at ROI for the broadcaster, is really quite a challenge, and hence Elemental have done that. Tell us a little bit about some of the projects that you've worked on with some of the broadcasters that have really utilized your technology in that way.
Yeah, I think one of the primary ones that we really became known for was just over a year ago, right, with the Olympics. And so, we are a combination of both a solution provider and a services provider.
Yep.
You can't really sell a solution without the services around it.
Yep.
And obviously, with what we did with the Olympics, in terms of the BBC, with the iPlayer, both live and on demand for multi-screen, as well as a lot of other rights holders around the world, we were actually the core platform that was behind the multi-screen delivery of the Olympics in 70 countries last year. So that was a pivotal moment, I think, for Elemental in terms of raising the awareness level of what we do. And really what we're great at is really in a scalable way taking content that originally was destined for a TV set and customizing that so that it can be delivered to all types of devices. So, broadcasters today, they realize that consumers want video on their terms, and that may mean on a smartphone, on a tablet device, on a gaming console, on a smart TV, or on a traditional set-top box as well. And so we help enable those companies to deliver to all those devices in a way that gives a quality of experience that's extraordinary for that particular moment in time, that particular device.
And
that's what we're good at.
I think the BBC, as I remember, because I was part of the Olympics team, the BBC won Broadcaster of the Year last year at the Connected World Awards, based on the fact that at the time, and I don't think this has been surpassed yet, it was the largest number of platforms, multiple platforms that were running live and streamed content for a sports broadcasting event ever worldwide. And that's pretty phenomenal in terms of really making that connected experience work for such a phenomenal event with so many different categories and timings and sort of genres of events, if that makes sense, and really deliver an engaging experience. What do you think are the challenges in being able to really provide something that is both entertaining but really interactive and immersive that works on so many different platforms and devices at the same time?
It's an economic challenge for one. If traditional technologies had been utilized to do that, it would have been enormously expensive. It wasn't cheap to do in the first place, right? But our platform is really one of taking advantage of underlying core technology development that we've done at Elemental and delivering that in an economical way while not sacrificing on the quality side for broadcasters like the BBC.
So again, it's looking at it from a technology perspective, but also a commercial perspective.
Yeah, absolutely, and also being able to innovate in an ongoing way, right? So we have an underlying framework that is very powerful, but it's also flexible. So we are a software company. Sometimes people perceive us to be a hardware-based solution. We do have hardware. Everything is run on some type of hardware, but our hardware is all general purpose. We just use it in a very unique way. So that allows us to innovate really quickly for customers. often we will get into trials and deals where our quality level is obviously very good, the economics work, but the question is, in an ongoing basis, how can you innovate for us in a world where change is really ever present, right? Every a number of years ago, the evolution of technology would take decades. To potentially swap out, but now it's almost monthly and quarterly where new things can pop up. There can be a new device. We happened to launch our product line about 3 months before the iPad launched in 2010. And so that timing was great, but no one knew that it was coming, right? So that's really an example of, probably a pivotal example of innovation that changes, and you have to react to that.
Absolutely. I remember when I was on your side of the fence as a marketing director for various technology broadcasters and solutions companies, it used to be that we planned our product launches around IBC and NAB, and then there'd be a couple of other shows, but effectively you had 2 major shows where you launched your products, you planned your campaigns around that, and then you delivered and continued your cycle thereafter. Now, as you say, that's actually happening on almost a monthly, if not quarterly basis, and it's really difficult to keep up with that, but at the same time ensure that you're still creating that value and that innovation. Talking about the Olympics, obviously the next Olympics really aren't that far away. I think again actually the cycles for the Olympics to me as you get older get shorter and shorter as we go along. What do you think we can expect in terms of more creation and innovation in what you'll be doing in delivering the next set of services and solutions for Rio?
Yeah. Oh, okay. I was going to go to Sochi, which is just a few months away.
Okay, let's talk about Sochi.
but I think I think for Sochi it will be very much similar to what happened for London. And so I think it'll be continuing to perfect on what was done there.
Are there any key lessons you think that were learned in London 2012 that could be used in Sochi in this time?
I think the key lesson, and maybe just a key point, was that scale can happen. I think going into London, there were people that were a little bit fearful that all the demand and all the basically bits that were going to be going over the internet from a video perspective were going to maybe break the underlying infrastructure. I think we proved that that wouldn't be the case. I think as we look to Rio now 3 years out, by then there's going to be all types of innovation that happens. I think new compression technologies will come into play with HEVC, which was ratified just this year. That reduces the bit rates of the video, which means that the delivery costs will be lowered by upwards of 40%. I think you'll see a lot of 4K activity. There's a lot of mindset around the World Cup in Brazil next summer, and what will happen there. I think 4K will be real by the time we get to Rio. We're showing 4K implementations now in our booth.
And you're in Hall 4 here at IBC.
We're in Hall 4, B75. So I think all those things will create a more rich experience. I think the integration of the data and the information in terms of the games and what's going on in your favorite sport, it may be a little bit more esoteric than just watching football. In the games, you may want to watch something that's a little bit less watched. That's all available. It was all available during the summer games in London. But I think the integration of the information and the metadata that's associated with the sporting events, as well as the broadcast metadata, is where you get a unique experience.
Absolutely. And in fact, I think following London 2012, consumers just expect this now, and it's kind of, we expect it to happen by magic, where they can see this content, and as you say, that is coupled with really important data and information and value add that they want to see around statistics, teams, brands, etc. And that's still a huge job at the back end in terms of, when I mean back end behind the scenes, in terms of ensuring the metadata architectures are there to manage not just the content of what's happening from a broadcast perspective traditionally, but associated information and data that is really enriching the experience by sport. And given the number of sports and the different events, the different countries, that's a huge amount of work to put into that. And it's I think it's very key to understand that planning at the metadata stage really needs to go into that, as well as the fantastic experience of seeing the content on different devices.
Yeah, absolutely. We view that as part of the whole package. We are the kind of core. The video has to look good. And we help enable that. But there's an enormous amount of extra work that goes into enriching the experience. And I think having the video look good is the anchor for everything else that can come around it. It creates space for that opportunity to then elevate it to another level.
It's really great to talk to a company, and again, I didn't judge, but I'm obviously aware of the entries that went into the awards. But it's really great to hear of a company that really is focused passionately on quality in terms of the video and the enablement of that over different platforms, but then at the same time actually still going back to how is this going to monetize to the broadcaster or content owner in a very real way, which is actually going back to old school disciplines around metadata and management. And in fact, we had a panel discussion in the Connected World Awards, the Connected World Theatre a couple of days ago, and the BBC and ITV was saying, things move so quickly now, as we were saying at the beginning of this interview, that sometimes you need to just take a step back and say, okay, actually guys, and teach the newer generations who are so quick and creative in producing this content, you've still got to make sure the discipline of metadata is in place for this to really have the end result ultimately when it goes out on a different device.
Yeah, I think a lot of this business overall has happened a little bit faster than everyone thought. And the early work that was done maybe 3 years ago was really around proving the core technology and can we do this? And really quickly it became a situation of like, it's actually happening, how do we monetize it? One of the challenges of that is that it's probably conditioned the consumers a little bit to having had free access to high quality on any device. And so now there's a little bit of a reversion back to how do we monetize it, and that's a challenge. How do you get the advertising supported or a subscription model when you've almost started to train the consumer, not out of any specific purpose, because you're just doing small trials that ended up being bigger than you thought. So it's an interesting kind of psychological...
The trial becomes the product in an amazing time frame, which again, a few years ago we would never anticipated. Keith, I can totally understand exactly why the judges decided that you were the best delivery, best delivery technology of the year, enabling that experience, but able to understand the bigger picture and how that works end to end from an experience and a commercial perspective, I think is key to success going forward. And I wish you all the very best with Elemental Technologies. Thank you for your time today. Congratulations again.
Appreciate it.
Okay.